News Channel 5 is brought to you by University Hospitals of Cleveland, Cleveland's premier medical center.
Live from the News Channel 5 studios, this is News Channel 5 at 11.
A high school student believes he's being punished for the wrong reason, and he's looking for some help. The freshman at Nordonia High School says he's being punished because he did not turn in a drug dealer.
There's something here that's actually quite familiar to most of us. Remember back in the early 1980s, it was First Lady Nancy Reagan who coined the phrase that was to ring through the corridors of high schools all across America. Just say no. Just say no to drugs. I thought it was ingenious. So short, so simple, and yet it was so very powerful. But for ninth grader Jason Dorsey, just say no appears to be a phrase that came and did its thing, and now for him anyway, it no longer applies. This is what it looks like. Jason Dorsey was offered drugs at school from another student, but he just said no. He wasn't caught with drugs. He says he didn't use drugs and he didn't buy drugs. But the school says that because he was named by the drug seller as one of 9 kids who either bought or received drugs from him, Jason is being suspended for up to 10 days.
I don't think I should have been suspended. I should be in school.
This appears to be a case where just saying no is not enough. The school says Jason should have turned in the drug dealer, and one official there denies Jason was suspended for insufficient cause.
But he wasn't suspended for just saying no. He was suspended because the high school administration certainly had reasonable suspicion to believe that he was involved some way.
Jason's mother is steamed over all of this and defends what her son did.
Jason didn't, did the right thing. He said no. He wasn't caught with anything. He didn't see anything. He did tell his dad.
Jason's mother is concerned about the possible lack of due process here, and furthermore, she says she wants her son's suspension investigated.
Well, get ready for a big chill overnight. There could be frost on your car windows tomorrow. Forecaster Don Webster has more. Don?
I'll tell you, this is like living in the great white north once again. Let's have a look at a few temperatures around your neighborhood, and boy, are they cold. Everybody in the 30s and the 40s right now, and we have a freeze warning in effect for all of northeastern Ohio. Doppler 5000 is not showing anything in the way of precipitation. We have no cloud cover to speak of, so nothing to hold in any warmth we did have today. And your forecast now looks like this, and I tell you, it's going to be a cold one. Through this hour, we'll drop down to 39 degrees, and it'll be clear at 5 a.m., all the way down to 30. Noon tomorrow, though, we'll bounce back up to 48, and we'll have sunny skies. But in the meantime, freeze warning in effect. We'll have more details in a few minutes, and things will be warming up. We have a fantastic 5-day forecast. Your weekend's looking good, too. Ted?
Sounds great. Thanks, Don. In other news tonight, Wall Street investors are a bit edgy, and it showed in trading today. What has them so very nervous? Interest rates, that's what. The Wall Street Journal is now reporting interest rates could rise, and that caused a minor panic today on the stock exchange, driving down stocks by over 2%, a 147-point decline in the Dow Jones Industrial Average.
Well, with more new hotels going up, more new job positions in the hotel industry need to be filled. Right here in Cleveland, they're looking for people to fill 750 new hospitality jobs. It's the hottest job opportunity in the city this summer, and there's a high demand for cooks, maids, hotel directors, and managers.
The death of a 13-year-old in a traffic accident has juvenile court authorities looking to see if programs designed to help troubled youngsters are doing just that. Josh Nichols was one of 3 teenagers in a car that sped away from Fairview police last night and out of control, causing this massive wreck at Cam's Corners in Cleveland. Nichols lost his life, and his 2 friends were critically injured here. Nichols had already been through the court system once before in detention homes, and now court officials are taking a long, hard look at more than a dozen programs to see how truly effective they are.
Well, children are in danger of turning violent because of what they see on TV. That's the opinion of an Akron group that is protesting the Jerry Springer Show. News Channel 5's Barbara Meek is live from our Akron bureau. And Barbara, is this group trying to get the show taken off the air?
Actually, no. The Reverend who organized this group says he doesn't want to censor or control the media. He only wants the show to move to a late nighttime slot when children are less likely to watch. The Reverend Jerry Bolar has created an organization called Christians Against Violence. He says the Jerry Springer Show is nothing but raw violence, unrestrained vulgarity, and a stimulation to sex perverts. He says the 4 p.m. time slot on WKYC attracts too many school children. The show's content is beyond irresponsible.
Well, it's criminal, frankly, I think. This is my opinion, and I think for any media, this includes late night, by the way, to put something on that would contaminate the community and start people to doing things they shouldn't do, I think is criminal.
Reverend Bolar used to be a parole officer, too, and he says this kind of programming has a definite influence on kids.
So what does his group plan to do to get the show moved?
Well, a few ministers from different churches were talking strategy tonight. They're looking into possibly boycotting sponsors, and they also might focus their protest against another TV station, Fox 8, who is picking up the Jerry Springer Show this fall.
All right, Barbara, thank you. Ted?
From Coventry comes a story tonight of a man who risked his own life to save his neighbors from a life-threatening fire. Kevin McDonald forced his way into a burning home to rescue his disabled neighbor dependent on a walker. He found her through thick black smoke and dragged her to safety. But by that time, the Coventry Fire Department arrived and using a heat imaging device were able to locate a flash point that could have seriously injured 3 firefighters. Coming up new at 11 o'clock tonight.
She had top grades but was rejected for a big academic award because she had a baby. We'll have her story.
She was kidnapped and left to die in the back seat of a burning car, but Phyllis Cottle of Cuyahoga Falls survived. This is Joe Paganakis. I'll bring you her inspiring story in a News Channel 5 special assignment.
Sean Kemp and the Cavaliers blew up on Indiana tonight. The money man had 31, and boom goes Indiana. There will be a Game 4 on Thursday. I'm Matt Underwood with more on that story coming up later in sports.
A high school student is being denied a major academic honor, all because she has a baby.
And that's what's happening tonight in your world. In Dayton, Ohio, 18-year-old Amanda Lemon has a near-perfect grade point average. But school officials are barring her from the National Honor Society because she's a teen mom. Officials now say they're reviewing how they pick students for the award.
In 1978, Stephen Fagan took his 2 daughters after he and their mother divorced. Fagan said the girl's mother was not fit to raise the children. Well, guess what? After 20 years of eluding the law, Fagan was caught and now faces kidnapping charges. Today in Boston, Fagan's daughters offered their support, saying their father is an honorable man.
A New York waiter is in police custody because he was caught carrying a gun to work. Former President Gerald Ford was in the restaurant at the time, and had it not been for the Secret Service agents who were traveling with him, officials might not have known the waiter had a gun. Police say Mr. Ford was never in any danger.
And look at this. Look at this. Tonight, the famed 32-year-old Las Vegas hotel and casino has imploded. 3, 2, 1, go. There we go, right on my cue. As a young friend of mine said, it blowed up. The Aladdin is the 5th hotel to go up in smoke on purpose. In the past 5 years, the 17-story, 1,100-room hotel was forced to close because of the rising number of mega resorts on the Vegas Strip. It's too small, in other words.
A corporate downsizing does not bring the best of luck to most who are in its path. But for some employees of the Kodak headquarters in Rochester, New York, they're in the money. A group of 6 workers got together and played the New York lottery and won over $6 million.
I bet you they're speechless right about now.
I bet they quit their jobs. Well, coming up next, new at 11, Dick Fagler's commentary is right around the corner. And she lost her eyes in an attack, but that's just the beginning of her story. Her blind faith is tonight's special assignment.
Plus, the Cavs refuse to lose tonight in the all-important, well, baseball game. And the all-important basketball game as well. All right, Matt Underwood has more on that story and the Tribe coming up. Good night for a bowl of chili if it were dinner time, because it is so chilly
I think we
outside.
may need to cover up plants tonight. Let's check in with Don Webster. Don?
Alrighty, got to cover up those little plants. I'll tell you why in just a minute or two. Right now, let's have a look at Tower Cam 5 in downtown Cleveland. 42 degrees under clear skies. It's cold but clear here in downtown Cleveland. And over in Akron, as we have a look at their Tower Cam from the University of Akron, we find partly cloudy skies, just a few little clouds flitting by. Temperature all the way down to 40. It's cold. Let's have a look at your neighborhood. And it's cold all over northern Ohio. 44 degrees at Cedar Point, 39 in Lorraine. Look at this, 38 in Medina, 38 in Worcester, 38 in Akron, 38 at Boston Mills, 35 degrees already at Alpine Valley. And around Ohio now, this is what we have. And look at these temperatures for this time of year. Extremely cold. Temperatures in the 30s and the 40s for the most part, right down to the tip of the state of 52, 53 in Cincinnati. Lake Erie water temperature quite high at 52. Okay, let's check Doppler 5000 now and find out if we have anything to report in the way of precipitation over on the east side. It's all nice and clear, as you can see. And we'll get over to the west side now and see that everything is also clear over there. Just kind of little false returns we're getting here right now. Nothing at all to worry about. And also down south, no precipitation there. Again, just false returns. Everything is nice and clear. Nothing at all. So let's get back to it now and have a look at our sky view picture of the United States. Find out what is happening, and something is, which is normal. We have another system down to the southwest of us that is slowly coming up our way. That's going to be affecting us by, well, maybe late tomorrow night, the way things are looking right now. Let's have another look at that and find out just how it's developing and how it's going to be affecting us over the next 24 hours or so. And my computer seems to have decided not to do it. So we'll have a look at your forecast, and it's going to be extremely cold. That's for sure. Looks as though we will have temperatures down to 39 degrees through this hour. At 5 o'clock in the morning, down to 30. At noon by tomorrow, we'll be back up to 48 degrees under sunny skies. But tonight is going to be extremely cold. Let's have a look at our zonecast and find out what we have now. And our zonecast really bears that out because, as you can see, over on the east side now, we will have temperatures between 25 and 30 degrees overnight. A freeze warning is in effect, so it's going to be extremely cold. Over on the west side, we also have a freeze warning in effect. Look at that, temperatures around freezing. And also down in the south area, we'll have temperatures between 25 and 30 degrees. Once again, extremely cold. And this is about a week late for a freeze in Ohio. So if you did get some little plants out there, you better cover them up tonight. All right, let's get back to it now and have a look at your 5-day forecast. And this is what we have now for tomorrow. We will have sunshine, and it's going to warm up a little bit after a cold night tonight. 55 degrees, then back down to 35. On Wednesday, sunshine early in the day. Cloud cover coming in late in the day, 65. On Thursday and Friday, chance of some showers, 63 degrees. Saturday, sunny skies, 63. And Ted, look at this. Your weekend. Wow. Saturday, sunshine, 63, and Sunday, the magic number of 70.
What a relief.
It looks as though we're going to hit that, so it'll be a good day to
about time.
Get out and do some gardening. If you have anything left to garden, and the secret is to cover up the little plants tonight to save the lives.
I'm growing dandelions, and they're doing just fine.
Doing okay.
Thanks, Don. Well, tonight, right now, in fact, we bring you a story of incredible faith and strength.
As you're about to see, Phyllis Cottle of Cuyahoga Falls lives as a symbol of the human spirit. Joe Paganakis brings us her lesson of hope in this News Channel 5 special assignment.
Lorna, when Phyllis Cottle watches this special assignment report tonight, it will look like this. You see, a rapist took her sight, but you can bet she's listening. Because even without her eyes, Phyllis sees so much more than the rest of us.
Phyllis Cottle was born and raised by her parents, Philip and Ethel Cottle, in the Firestone Park area of Akron. Philip's 16mm film camera chronicles a happy childhood and helps to spark an interest in photography Phyllis would share with her father for a lifetime.
Between him and I, we've got a lot of colored slides, we've got movies, we've got videos. Sometimes I think we had a contest to see who could outdo the other when came to taking pictures.
Philip gave his daughter a strong will and faith in God, never knowing how Phyllis would use that strength later in life to help her cope with a tragedy some 40 years later. It's a story so unthinkable, I realized Phyllis would have to give me her complete trust before she could ever reveal the details of an attack that would leave her permanently blind, forever taking away her ability to see her father's home movie memories. March 20th, 1984. Phyllis Cottle is coming out of work at Murphy's Siding and Home Improvement in Akron. She was heading for lunch, but instead was kidnapped by 27-year-old Samuel J. Herring. It would be the start of a 3-hour nightmare.
He kept saying to me, though, he said, be a good girl and you'll be home in time for dinner with your family.
But instead, Samuel Herring took her to this vacant house on Akron's west side, where she was beaten and raped twice. We warn you now about Phyllis's graphic account. You see, a half hour later, Herring took her back to the car and tried to kill her.
His hands were around my throat, squeezing, and he said, you lied to me. You'll go to the police. They all lied to me. They all went to the police, and I thought, oh, he's done this before. And he put his hand over my mouth and nose and was trying to suffocate me. And I tried shaking my head and trying to get the hand away because I couldn't breathe. And I knew I was going to die. I knew it. And I had accepted that. At that time, I had accepted death. And then the pressure was relieved, and then the next thing I know, he grabbed the back of my head, grabbed my hair. And the last thing I ever saw was that gloved hand holding a knife. And then the next thing I know, the knife was being plunged into my eyes. First the left eye, then the right eye. And I remember screaming, oh my God, no, don't. And my sight was gone.
But incredibly, Herring would make one more attempt at murder, cutting open the upholstery in Phyllis's car and lighting it with a match, hitting the power locks, leaving Phyllis blind and tied up in the back seat of a burning car. But somehow, Phyllis brings her arms together, unlocks a back door, and tumbles out.
You've never seen pictures of the damage in that vehicle.
No, but I heard that the fire was so intense that it melted the roof. I don't know. I don't know how I got out of that car without being burned, because as soon as I got out of the car, it must have been totally engulfed in flames.
Samuel J. Herring was caught less than a week later, and the case was quickly brought to trial.
The hardest thing I had to do was walk in that courtroom and know he was there. And you talk about evil. I felt evil when I walked in that courtroom. But the blindness was a blessing because I couldn't see him. And I could concentrate on my testimony.
And I thought to myself, and I'll say it exactly like I thought it. I said, you son of a... I said, you think you're going to fry me? I said, I'm going to get out of this car, and I'm going to survive, and I'm going to fry you.
I think I testified for about 4 hours. And when I walked out of there and walked through the doors and breathed air that he was not breathing, it felt so good.
Felonious assault, aggravated arson.
Herring was found guilty on all 11 counts, including rape and attempted murder. The sentence, 169 to 290 years.
And when I heard that, it was like, it's over. The final chapter of this whole episode in my life is over.
Phyllis Cottle's recovery can be summed up here at Cleveland's Rockefeller Park greenhouse, one of her favorite places. No, she can no longer see the flowers here, but now she says she appreciates them twice as much. A new vision that has allowed her to teach her life lessons to school children and help other victims of crime.
I'd reach out to one person, and then 2 people would reach out to me. And I'd reach out to 2 people, and then 5 people would reach out to me. And it was just an ever-growing kind of healing.
Philip Cottle passed away in 1991, but he would be happy to know that after all these years, Daddy's little girl is living the life she always dreamed about. Only now, she sees so much more.
It really does seem kind of ironic because when I was a little girl growing up, my childhood dream was to grow up, become a mother, take care of my house, my husband, my children, and my pets. Well, I finally have attained that. I now am doing exactly what I wanted to do as a little girl. Of course, now I'm taking care of my house, I'm taking care of my special man, and I'm taking care of my cat. And I love it.
And by the way, Phyllis's boyfriend, Tom, is legally blind, but that hasn't stopped them from taking trips around the world. And yes, Phyllis still takes pictures wherever she goes. Her father would be proud. For News Channel 5 Special Assignment, I'm Joe Paganakis.
Joe, I remember Phyllis's chilling testimony back in the 80s. It's so very good to hear that she is continuing to do so well after such a loss.
Well, a lesson we can learn from her.
We'll be right back.
Middle school students in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania showed up today wearing white ribbons and praying. Friday night at a school dance, teacher John Gillette was allegedly gunned down by 8th grader Andrew Wurst. Today was the first day back to school for students. Those students will have off tomorrow to attend the teacher's funeral.
It's a new national malady, and Dick Fagler, for one, says the casualty list is growing.
Well, Ted, maybe you can't call it an epidemic, but nobody's buying coincidence. A month after Jonesboro, another school child borrowed another gun and graduated into the profession of homicide. Jonesboro, Edinburgh, no little town, it seems, can burrow deep enough to be safe from the murderous ambitions of some of its children. The juvenile crime is on the rise in what's called the heartland. It's begun to wane in the cities, but only after violent death had become the modern plague of urban kids. Not an epidemic yet, but it's beginning to sound like one. Years ago, when polio was ravaging the nation's children, frightened people asked, is it polluted swimming pools? Is it germ-infested environment? What? Mother Scotch taped a list of warning signs on the cupboard door and prayed. And then we found the virus. But what is the virus of Jonesboro and Edinburgh that twists and cripples young minds and sows sudden and senseless death? And what are the warning signs? A kid whose nickname was Satan, who was infected by the viral pollution of the Marilyn Manson band and other violent and toxic emissions that make up today's child environment. Something is stealing the innocence of childhood, one news account said. It must be adults. We're the only suspects.
Cavs All-Star Sean Kemp said before tonight's game he can't stand the thought of the season coming to an end and then having to watch Michael Jordan and the Bulls on TV. Well, at least for one more night, Kemp and the Cavs have themselves a reprieve. The money man set the tempo early on. Watch him off the break, inside power move, rattles the rim with a dunk. 12 first quarter tallies for Kemp. Cavs led by 2 at the half. Rick Smits of Indiana was unstoppable, pumping in 26 for the Pacers, and nearly all of his points came from outside. But Wesley Person would come up for the Cavaliers and sink a huge three-pointer to open the fourth quarter, increasing the Cavs' lead to 7. And the crowd, though sparse, loved it. Shot of the night came right here. Kemp knocks down the jumper with less than a minute to go. 31 points for Kemp. Lights out Indiana. Cavs win at 86-77. Game 4 on Thursday at the Gun.
I was basically trying to lay my body out on the court tonight and hope these guys feed off the energy. You know, that's what it takes. If it takes me diving over chairs, then I'll dive over the first 5 or 6 rows to get these guys pumped up. And I thought they see me dive on the floor, they see me do a couple dunks and get a little hustle points in there, then they start diving on the floor and giving that second effort also.
It was so cold in Comiskey Park tonight in Chicago that the White Sox allowed the few people who were sitting in the upper deck to come on down and join the feeble crowd in the lower bowl. They should have let the fans stand next to David Justice because he is red hot this D's. American League Player of the Week, 2 ribby doubles and a home run, but other than that, the Tribe was ice cold. Chad Ojay gave up 4 extra base hits in the 4th. Robin Ventura knocked him out of the game. Chicago took a 5-3 lead, and they go on to win it 10-3. Now a look at all the scores.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Nightline is next. Good night.
Good night.